Jack, welcome to the show.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Looking like a South Australian, isn't he? Look at that big smile.
Well, he's not used to this beautiful weather we're having. Just on that, 7 weeks into the season, how have you found the footy cycle here in Adelaide?
Yeah, it's been obviously we got off to a flyer and it was all pretty good, and then a couple of tougher weeks, and but I've been really enjoying it, enjoying my time and enjoying the footy aspect of it. As much as it is a crazy football state, I don't know, there's something about the supporters and the people here. It sort of feels like they're a bit more supportive and positive and there to help you. So I've been really enjoying it.
They're very educated down at Port. They know their footy. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, they just love it so much, don't they? And the history and, that's probably the biggest thing for me. Not really knowing too much about Port Adelaide Football Club, before obviously the induction into the AFL. Phenomenal. I'm
very perceptive when our guests come in. I love them. Have you got a cold?
No.
Oh, is that your voice?
That's me.
Touch of the Russell Crowe's about him.
Well, Vince, he does. So what's that down your top there?
Where's that?
I would have gone like that. I just thought there might have been a bit of dribble there. Let's talk footy. What happened, Jack?
Which game? On the weekend?
Coast. Yeah, let's just do that one.
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing, wasn't it? I think we just got smacked around the ball, clearly. That was the thing, that you can't win a game when you lose contested footy by 40 odd or whatever it was.
42,
we'll rectify that, look at it. Obviously frustrating as all hell because it was such an important game and in the context of the year. But we've got enough belief in ourselves and the team that we know we can fight back and play really good footy.
It's not a trend, is it, this contested ball thing?
No, I don't think so. No, I think it's probably one of our strengths. You look at our team and
I would have thought so.
The guys we've got around the ball, and obviously getting Paddy back's going to really help us around there. So, we'll knuckle down and get that right.
It has been, I know it's difficult for you because you weren't here last year, but it was one of the strengths last year. I think you were 5th in the AFL. Differential at the moment, you're 17th. So you've only won the one game in contested ball, and that was against Fremantle in round 1. So I'm sure you'd like to improve it if possible.
Absolutely. I think every team these days, if you hear the players talk, and a lot of it is around the contested footy, outnumbering around the ball. So I think against Sydney in round 2, we were getting smashed in the first half contested ball, turn that around, and we see the results. So I think looking at the talent in our side, the players we've got, we need to be able to do those simple things well, and with a lot of discipline, and the rest will take care of itself. But got to get that right first.
Just quickly, tell us about your role on the weekend. Did you spend some time on Jeremy McGovern, and how did you approach that, if you did?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, that was sort of the plan going in. Just to negate his, his influence in taking oppo marks and getting them going back into attack. So I really enjoyed it, to be honest. Enjoyed the first quarter, and then he sort of went to Charlie, and we were pretty happy with that matchup, so we left it. But gave me a clear focus, something to work on, and he took me to the footy, which was good.
Well, I had a look at it. I was going to give you all the credit, but the elimination final last year, you took 18 marks, 17 of them were intercepts, so it was a focal point, and I know your coach, Ken Hinkley, hates bombed in and someone marks it. He took 6 marks total and 2 intercept for the game. I gave you 3 votes. But now you just told me you only played him for 1 quarter. Hey, where is your best role? Where do you like to settle down in this Port team? I know you're versatile, but you...
I think I'd like to, I guess with our team at the moment, we've had a lot of ins and outs and injuries and stuff, especially sort of affecting that forward line with Paddy going out, Charlie having to play a fair bit in the ruck. I'd love to have Charlie, playing that deep forward, and then I can sort of get in next to him and have time up the ground, getting the footy around the middle of the ground and putting it forward, and then also sort of being able to get deep inside forward 50 and kick some goals.
And that's the knock-on effect of not having Paddy. Let's face it, he didn't play much of round 1. He's been out until that game on the weekend. Dixon's had to go there, so then your role changes. There has been a knock-on effect. I'm not saying that's the excuse, but it does. When you can get some continuity of roles in a team for weeks on end, that's when we'll see Port's best, and probably yours, Jack. Fair call?
Yeah, and I think, on top of that, it's my first year here, and there's a few other guys sort of playing our first year here, and we're all getting used to each other, and then it gets sort of muddled up again at the start of this year. So obviously we're not playing the footy that we want to be playing, and it has been a little bit disappointing, but as I said earlier, I think we're so strong in our belief of where we can go, with a couple of little tinkering here and there. So looking forward to getting out there this week in a big game. What's
an easier forward line to play in? I think 7 weeks is not a bad little sample size. Melbourne's or Port's?
No forward lines are too easy to play in, I'll tell you that. I think it's a pretty tough position to play in AFL footy these days as a half forward. But, if we get that contested footy Rowie going, that's probably the catalyst, and then move the ball quickly and into an open forward line. That's where you want to play.
You mentioned there's a big match coming up this weekend. You've been a part of a club who has a blockbuster game. In actual fact, you made your debut on the Queen's birthday weekend against Collingwood in front of 61,000. You're looking forward to being a part of this rivalry?
Very much so. Yeah, it's interesting coming over and, just how intense the rivalry is. You sort of hear about it from Melbourne, but being in it firsthand, it's a whole nother ball game, to be honest. And, it's funny, you got your mates sort of growing up, Rory Sloane and those sort of guys, and you get over here and you can't be friends with Rory. So, very much looking forward to getting out there in a hot game and have a crack and hopefully come away with a really good result.
Exactly. You mentioned a hot game. You mentioned the contested ball is going to be important. Sam Powell-Pepper, Tom Rockcliffe, two contested ball sort of animals. That's their number one. Would you expect those guys to come back in?
I think they played really good footy on the weekend. Jack Trengove, another one, playing some super footy and contested ball sort of animals. So we've got a lot of depth there, and hopefully, we get a couple of those guys back and really bolster that side of the game. 8223 Jack Watts in the studio for Pura Tap. If you've got a question for him, hit him. I'm going to go back before we go to the break. You said you're mates with Rory. How close are mates with Rory? Like your partner and Belinda friends? And do you have dinner? Do you? Not quite, no. We obviously played 18s together, so there's a bit of a crew of us, Tommy Lynch, Rory and Hurls, and a bit of a rat pack there, so we got along pretty well. And but since when they came over to Adelaide, you sort of lose touch a little bit. But now you've reconnected. And now you're rekindling, but, I'm not allowed to say that because we hate them. And No. You don't know the rivalry yet. We spoke to JJ. He said, well, I'm a Victorian. I don't know the rivalry. Two questions for you about Rory. Want to see how close you like him. Is he going or staying? Oh, well, I spoke to him yesterday and he actually gave me the definitive answer. So, okay, that's right. Is he playing this week or not? No, I've got no idea. If I'm being completely honest. Look at me. No, he's telling the truth. Just on that, the truth, yeah.
He was drafted at pick 44. Did you think he was going to be a big star like he is?
It's hard to look forward and sort of see how good he's actually become. When we were playing, he was obviously a sort of hard-nosed half-back pocket. That's where he played in the 18s, and same sort of fundamentals. Never let you down, tough as nails, and pretty much the ideal teammate, really. But to see what he's done with his career has been pretty amazing and inspiring, really. So you were pick one, and then there were 42 players, and then Rory. Well, that's right, exactly. And look how he's looking at me. Oh, that wasn't loaded, Jack. I love that you pick one, and you bloody fire the hell up at the end of the year. A couple of people on the Mile End Office Furniture text line not happy with us. Oh well, how can we turn a Jack Watts interview? Read them.
Yeah, well, it was. I'm just trying to find. It's just coming up here. Andrea on the Twitter account at Rowie and Bix says only you guys, that's referring to you and I, Rowie, could turn an interview with Jack Watts into the Crows show about Rory Sloane.
Well, hang on, Jack brought up Rory. They're good mates.
Yeah, we did.
Aren't you, Jack?
But you guys didn't need to go on with it about the Crows.
I love your voice. We didn't either, but we did. We walked through the door. Don't do that again, Jack. Danny, you got Jack here. Jack Watts for Pura Tap.
Thanks, guys. G'day, Jack. How are you?
Going well, Danny.
Good, mate. Good. Look, as a Port supporter, a frustration of mine over the last 3, 4, 5 years has been the lack of a really good second ruckman, and we can sort of see what's happened this year in terms of how it's unstable to side. I'm just wondering if you can give us your perspective from, I guess, from what the Victorian clubs do in that regard.
I think, most clubs probably have a little bit more of a senior backup, I suppose. We've got some really good young ruckmen coming through, but at this stage, they're still quite young players. So, at the same time, I think Charlie and the Big Hoff have done a great job, but, it would be nice to have Paddy in there and then, one of those guys just giving him a rest for a couple of minutes instead of having to take that ruck role.
Thanks, Danny.
You weren't throwing your hand up, were you?
Absolutely not. Did you see me last year try and go up against the big Nankervis? And
195. Let's go to Morphett Vale. Lauren, you have Jack Watts.
Hi, Jack. Many moons ago, I worked at the Department of Youth, Sport and Recreation, and Brian Dixon was our minister, and Ron Barassi was his best mate. Do they still hang around? Obviously Brian used to pay for Melbourne years ago. Did you see them a lot while you were at the club as well?
Yeah, we certainly did it. While I was at Melbourne. Diggo's certainly a big character, confident man, and he was always around the place giving advice and had some great stories too. So certainly saw him, and Barras was obviously around a lot. Yeah,
and can I just ask another thing too? One thing that when I went over there, I said, in the 70s, I've got to say I'm very old, but in the 70s, I said, look, I come from Adelaide, and I've, come from a club I love, which is Port Adelaide, and it was just like, piffle, Port Adelaide, who cares, Really? How do you now feel coming over to sense what our club is to so many people? I mean, obviously you mentioned it a little bit before, but it is a lot of rich history, and it's so good to see. What's it like for you coming over?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're just a bit out of the bubble over there to realise how successful this club has been over the years, and as you said, that history is lost on a few people if they're not around the area. So for me, coming across, it's just opened my eyes completely, and it's one of the reasons I'm so proud that I get to, pull on the jumper every week and, play for this great club.
Thanks, Lauren. Jack, far be it for me to point fingers. I'm just looking at your watch. It says 5 to 7. What are you doing? Are you on Shanghai time?
No, this is actually an old watch. I'm going to have to get this battery fixed, Rowie.
At least
Bix, is it? Bix, isn't it?
It's right twice a day, at least.
Oh, here he goes with his dad jokes. Jack loved it. Look at Jack. He's fallen off the chair there.
We're on
Jack,
the same
don't
plane.
encourage him. That's why we have the big book on. Jack's fallen off the chair.
He loved it.
Hey, Nick Nat got a game for tackling Carl. Where do you sit as a player?
I guess, would support player safety, and Carl was pretty sore and a bit out of it this week, and we don't want any sort of severe neck, back, those kind of injuries. So I'm not so sure on exactly the how that punishment comes up. With Michael Christian obviously in charge of it these days. But, as long as player safety is first and foremost, I'm happy with whatever. What
about yourself? You have to tackle players. Have you been in a situation where you do have a player in a vulnerable position and you've changed your behaviour? Instead of maybe when you first started, you might have slammed him into the turf. Are you now more reticent to do that? Yeah, I think you certainly think about it. Definitely, it's with the sling tackle sort of coming in, I think that's probably the hard thing with Nick Nat. It wasn't really a sling at all, was it? He didn't grab him and lift him, and he's just a big boy and went right through him. So, you certainly take a bit of care with opponents' heads and putting them into the turf.
Now, Shanghai next week. Are you up the front, down the back, in the middle? Have you?
I'm not too sure. I'm obviously this is my first year at it, Rowie. So,
have you got an itinerary yet?
Not yet.
We did it last year, and flying cattle class. Now, I'm not trying to be an elitist. Bloody nearly killed me. You got to play. Get out the front.
Well, hopefully.
Play the gap.
195. You'd think the big guys would be pushed.
They need the
premium
priority.
Economy, I think.
We do get looked after very well every week on the plane, so hopefully that continues.
Okay. Jack, you're a skirt wash enthusiast.
Big time.
Yeah.
That's the business. We might have to get you a pair, Rowie. Get her.
So it's skwosh.com.au. Tell us about it.
It's a men's sort of swimwear business, which we're starting to evolve now. But started off with just men's swimwear, board shorts,
DBs?
pretty out there colours. DBs,
Dick
please.
Bathers. Pix only wears DBs.
No, I don't.
I'm a boardy man, down to the knees.
No, these are boardies. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
a bit
good.
of a higher cut, so we'll see your knees, Rowie. But out there colours, pretty loud, and you make a statement in these ones.
Squash is about fruit, fun, and sun.
That's it.
Are you the designer?
Definitely not.
No. So is a couple
Not-
of mates in this with you?
Yeah, a few mates. So I started
Well
it with
done.
a friend, and then our designer. He's actually working at Lee Jeans at the moment. He's quite an artistic, eccentric character, so he gets us going.
So what part of the business do you sort of take charge in? Are you the marketer? Are you what?
He's the copywriter. Listen to this, because summer is for fun and serious is for work. Oh, get out! Did you, Jack, in your Russell Crowe voice, hand that to him? Thanks, Heather. I want you to write that.
Yeah, the bottom
I
line.
want you to do that and then the website in your Russell Crowe voice.
Because summer is for fun and serious is for work. Squash.com.au. Get on board.
Bitch.
Yeah. Well,
We
give him
have a voiceover man. He has the best voice in football. Hey, great fun,
Ollie
Jack.
Wines has got a deep voice as well, by the way.
Who?
Listen to Ollie Wines with Pembo and Will in the
Yeah, he
morning.
does. He's got a very good voice.
I might be coming down with something. You might have picked it. I don't know. Now you got me thinking.
Better voice than your other mate, Rory and Paddy.
Oh, is that
You
right?
mates with Paddy as well?
Paddy, yeah.
Well, who ain't you mates with?
Are we talking Ryder or Dangerfield?
Oh, Ryder and
Yeah.
Danger.
Yeah.
I think you might have
Whatever.
changed.
Either
Hey,
way.
hey, Jack, welcome. Thank you for coming in. Showdown 44, you'll love it. Trust me, it's bigger than Collingwood, Melbourne.
Yep.
Now, they are big bigs. This is massive, and I hope you do really well. We're right behind you. Thanks for coming in for Pure Tap. You're a bloody star.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Squash is
Jack,
about fruit, fun,